afternoon, everyone. So welcome to day 8 of our digital classroom. I have two pieces of really important information for you all. And the first is that I finally have final exam information to give you all. And I will send out a formal email kind of detailing everything again that I'm going to go over in this video, just if it's more helpful for you to also have that in writing. And then the second piece of information is I am going to detail for you all what your next Unit 2 assignment is, which is the rhetorical analysis that we've been talking about for quite some time now. So I will provide you all with the details of what that will include, what it will look like. So without further ado, let's get started.
Never feared for anything, never shame but never free. A life that healed the broken heart with all that it could.
Okay, so final exam information. The date of your final exam is going to be Monday, May 11th from 4:15 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. So your exam will go live at 4:15 p.m. It will be in my classes, so it'll be an online exam, of course, and it will be available starting at 4:15 p.m. However, they have decided to make it available for a full 24-hour period because obviously some of you may be working during that time if you're essential personnel, or you might not have access to Wi-Fi at that very specific time window. So what I would suggest doing is, if you are able to take the exam starting at 4:15, do that. If you really cannot take it directly at 4:15 p.m. on May 11th, again, you will have 24 hours to take it once it starts on May 11th at 4:15 p.m. Something important that you'll want to keep in mind is you are only allotted 2.5 hours to take the exam. So the 24 hours, that doesn't mean that you have 24 hours to take the full exam. It just means that you have a 24-hour rolling window to start the exam. Once you begin the exam, you are timed for 2.5 hours. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay, so some content information on the final exam. It will be open book. From my understanding, they're not doing Respondus lockdown browser or making you set up a webcam. And I personally would encourage you all to use your resources, use your English 103 manual, use the book, use notes that you have from class, or video lectures or things I've posted on my classes. This is not an exam we're trying to, stump you with or make you fail. Use your resources. But again, just keep in mind you have a 2.5 hour window to complete it. So it will be in 2 different parts. And I just received this information about an hour ago, so bear with me. But the first part will be very short fill in the blank or short question responses that have to do with summary, paraphrasing, and quotations. And I'll provide a practice test for you all. As we get a little bit closer, I will send you all out a practice exam, so you'll have that. And then part 2 will be a paragraph response where you'll have multiple questions that you need to respond in paragraph formatting, where you will be asked to assess and evaluate the readings in the back of your English 103 manual. So your really skinny, greenish bluish manuals that you probably haven't looked at much this semester, you need those in the very back. There's a section titled Final Exam Readings. All right, so the rhetorical analysis essay is our last Unit 2 project, so let's get started. So for the general requirements, it's going to be 7 full pages, not including a works cited. MLA 8 formatting, meaning you need a works cited page and in-text citations, double spaced, 12-point font, Times New Roman. You will need a minimum of 10 sources, so 4 of those need to be scholarly. This, of course, means you'll probably need to find more sources than you've already found with your last 2 writing projects in Unit 2. And because this is going to be an actual essay, to alleviate some stress, I am going to cancel the visual or oral presentations that you. So, as I have mentioned multiple times so far, the goal for the rhetorical analysis is not to make a specific argument for or against your social issue or your person of interest. So you want to make sure you're really straying away from arguments or language such as your POI is successful or the most influential celebrity, or that your social issue is immoral and that you're against it for X, Y, Z reason, so on and so forth. Be really mindful. This is not an argumentative essay. Like you've probably done in the past. Again, that's why I'm calling it a rhetorical analysis, to hopefully help parse out the difference. An argument would be doing exactly that, making some kind of ethical or moral argument, or perhaps maybe even arguing why your brand is successful. That's not what we're doing here. So instead, our rhetorical analysis is going to attempt to reveal and or inform a specific audience on how society is responding or perhaps reacting to topics of controversy, debate, conversations, etc., surrounding your topic of research. So this holds for whether you are using a person for your Unit 2 topic or if you are using a social issue. These questions surrounding the rhetorical analysis and the rhetorical triangle will remain the same no matter which topic you chose. So keep that in mind. Because this is a rhetorical analysis, you want to make sure that you're paying particular attention to rhetorical terms and how you are analyzing throughout. So I'll be looking for terms that you use correctly and thoughtfully, such as audience, message, context. So that's all surrounding, right, the rhetorical triangle and the speaker. And then those Aristotelian appeals: ethos, thinking of credibility and character; logos, logic; and pathos, emotion, in order to parse out what these rhetorical terms mean in the case of your Unit 2 topic. Now we're getting into what the paper will actually look like, so thinking of structure and subheadings. So bear with me through this because it is a lot of information. So what you'll do is attempt to define these rhetorical terms that I mentioned on the previous slides in relation to your topic by using very specific subheadings that I'll be providing for you. So I'm going to give you the subheading titles, and then of course your job is to figure out what goes underneath of those subheadings. So the first subheading is going to be titled Context, Kairos, Relevancy. So that first subheading you'll want to make sure you put first, because it's there to situate the outside reader and essentially provide a history of your brand or your topic, your person, your social issue. And so I would definitely encourage you to use some of the information from your timelines that you used in the synthesis project, because that will be helpful in really contextualizing for your outside reader certain dates and times and events that you really believe kind of brought your person of interest or your social issue to the forefront of this rhetorical analysis that you're going to be conducting. And so what you'll want to make sure you do is go beyond just the timeline and include specific rhetorical language, like, what makes it relevant? What is its currency? Meaning, what is making it urgent to respond or act or, become branded in certain ways. And so I really want to make sure you all are not overthinking this first subheading, kind of looking past some of the fancy language and rhetorical terms. All I'm really asking you to do is to think about these current topics that are popping up around your person of interest or your social issue, and to try to attempt to answer why those conversations are even able to be made or branded or even talked about in media or social media. And so what I've done here is hopefully provided a helpful example for you guys to think about. So if you think of our current situation right now, right, COVID-19, the coronavirus is pretty much all we hear in the media right now, whether that's in print media, digital media, social media, it is everywhere. That is a prime example of a social issue that became very quickly oversaturated. And so what I've done is provided some sample hashtags here to hopefully get you guys to understand what I mean by a social issue becoming branded very quickly. I'm sure all of you have seen these hashtags like flatten the curve, hashtag I stay home for, or just hashtag stay home. There's also been a lot of celebrities recently that have jumped on this bandwagon of COVID-19 as a social issue and branding themselves through YouTube videos and channels that they have created, on their own Instagram pages, coming up with their own fun ideas for donations and their own hashtag participation. So that is a really good example of a current social issue that is so relevant and so all consuming and saturating in every form of media and the different mediums that they take, that they very rapidly became branded in to things like hashtags and donations and campaigns, and again, everything that we are hearing on the news right now. And so, what I want you guys to think about is why that's so significant, and then in relation to your own Unit 2 topics, try to find really relevant pieces like that, whether that's a hashtag or a documentary or a march or a campaign, whatever it may be. That's what I'd be looking for in this section to help contextualize what is making it relevant and then providing an example. So from there, your second subheading will be titled, Who are the audiences? This one's a little bit more straightforward, I think, because what you're asking is, who are the audiences? So in other words, thinking about what groups of people, maybe specific age groups, races, genders, different cultures, or maybe even think about, is there a specific population? Really thinking again of the example of COVID-19, right now, I think that would be a social issue that is not demographic specific because it is literally impacting every single country, continent, race, age group, culture that you can think of, right? So that would be a social issue that is probably what we would call non-target audience specific. I think many of your people of interest or social issues will have specific demographics that are either responding or reacting to that particular topic. So that's essentially what I want you to think about for this subheading here and to define that. Your third subheading will be titled Messages and Mediums. And so here you're going to be asking yourself what messages and mediums your person of interest or your social issue is relaying and how they might be relaying them. So really try not to overthink this either. Mediums, if you guys remember, is just thinking about how something is moving through, whether that's a digital capacity or in real time, like a vehicle almost. How is a message being delivered? So really in this section, I'd be looking for the appeals, ethos, logos, pathos, because that's going to be helpful in determining if those messages are persuasive or somehow failing to reach stasis, which is just agreeable grounds. And then through the mediums as well, using the Aristotelian appeals to even evaluate the mediums themselves. Are the way the message is being delivered successful or not? The fourth subheading will be titled Speakers Involved. So hopefully by now you all are seeing the pattern. Each subheading is directly related to the rhetorical situation or the rhetorical triangle. I'm just helping you all parse them out by titling them for you. And then what you'll be doing in this subheading is figuring out who is reacting to or maybe advocating for or against certain themes or issues surrounding your topic. Even if you notice, if you have a social issue, for example, that no one's really speaking out against the issue what you'd be looking for here is not necessarily like a counter argument from a specific population of people, but rather how are those different speakers responding differently to maybe the same goal, right? If you have a group of baby boomers, so we're thinking maybe a little bit older of generation, they might have a more classical, traditional way of responding to a legal issue, whereas maybe a group of Generation Zs would use more social media and digital mediums to respond to those situations. So again, you're looking at how the speakers, first of all, defining who are the speakers, are they responding differently, and what are they saying about this particular subject. And your last subheading will be titled Finding My Voice in Existing Conversations. This section, hopefully, you can have a little bit of fun with. It will be a bit argumentative. You can include some personal opinion, personal pronouns. So it should look and feel a little bit different than the rest of the rhetorical analysis. So for this section, you will attempt to reveal an informed decision or analysis about what direction our society is going in. This is where you could look at ethical or moral dilemmas that you may see yourself situated in this conversation and how you are examining this. And so you are encouraged again to kind of look at your own beliefs and your own opinions and perspectives. And so what you'll do is you will be asked to determine what audiences you belong to. So thinking of family beliefs and environmental factors that have influenced your own belief systems, what messages have been conveyed to you throughout your childhood, and who you are as a speaker in society. So what's important to you surrounding these conversations. So this fifth and final subheading, Finding My Voice in Existing Conversations, will essentially serve as your conclusion paragraph and your kind of so what social significance and personal significance viewpoint on your entire Unit 2 project.